Black in China, Season 2, sponsored by Hayden T. Joseph, Certified Public Accountant. Visit us at advancedamericantax.com.
Black in China was extremely helpful. I appreciate the Black in China crew. Y'all doing, even though you might think what you're doing is not important, it's very important, particularly to researchers like me who are all over the internet.
就是黑人在中国，
黑人在中国，
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 黑人在中国。
Ok, mi nombre es Aslhey, yo soy de Guinea Ecuatorial, que eso está en África, y vivo aquí en Saint-Jean, pero vivo en Nelsón. Soy estudiante en la universidad y quiero sacarme, o sea, quiero ser abogado. O sea que yo estudié chino aparte como lengua, pero después voy a hacerme la carrera de abogado.
So my name is Nelsón. I am I'm an artist, I'm a visual artist. I also do neon and sculpture. Originally from New York City, and I have been living in Hong Kong for about 5 years in this region, Hong Kong, Tokyo, and just running around.
Mi nombre es OkeLugo, vengo de Venezuela. Llegué aquí hace 3 años a estudiar la maestría en genética de cultivos y a estudiar el idioma, una de las cosas más difíciles que me ha tocado hacer. Y durante este tiempo he estado viviendo en los predios de la Universidad de Agricultura del Negro.
Fui a España cuando tenía 1 año y bueno, estuve ahí hasta los 16 años. Después fui a Ghana, ahí terminé mi bachillerato, como middle school, y después ahí por eso aprendí inglés ahí 3 años en Ghana. Después estuve trabajando 1 año en mi país, en Guinea, China, o sea que llevo 1 año en China desde 2014 hasta ahora. Yo creo que en África es una forma de ganar mucho dinero porque ahora los chinos están yendo mucho a África para hacer proyectos. Entonces estoy muy interesada en la parte de los business y tal. Entonces.
Durante el primer año se estudia chino, pero no es suficiente más que para defenderte. Y durante los 2 años siguientes he estado en los estudios de maestría. Ya me falta todavía 1 año para graduarme.
Ok, no, sinceramente yo creo que esto no estaba en mis planes. O sea, this was not part of my plan. Yo quería irme a Estados Unidos, era mi sueño. Pero mi padre dijo, no, a China porque ha salido esta scholarship y es mejor para tu vida, para aprender chino, porque inglés ya sé. Entonces China, por eso estoy aquí. Y es Saint-Jean porque es la beca aquí en Saint-Jean. O sea, yo antes no sabía que existía Saint-Jean, ¿sabes? O sea, no lo sabía para nada. Pero ya, perfecto, yo quería irme a Shanghai. O sea, yo cuando hablaba de China, porque China no estaba en mis planes, que no tenía nada que ver con esta gente. Sinceramente estaba yo, dije, pues si voy a China tiene que ser Shanghai, porque... No, Saint-Jean está muy bien, sinceramente, es muy internacional. Y eso es lo importante. Porque, por ejemplo, hay otros guineanos de mi país que están en otras ciudades, están en pueblos y pienso que no es lo mismo, ¿no? Aparte que aquí porque ellos solo hablan español, yo interactúo con mucha gente aquí, conozco a mucha gente, te digo, como estoy muy interesada en business, aquí la gente viene a hacer, en esta ciudad hay mucha gente que está haciendo cosas de compañías business, pues conozco a mucha gente y eso me guía, ¿no? Para mi futuro y es muy importante, por eso me gusta esta ciudad. Especialmente también porque es muy internacional, ¿no? O sea, no es tan chino. A mí, no sé, no he estado en otros sitios, sinceramente, pero pienso que es así.
I left New York for a reason. Like I bought a one-way ticket. I had a show in Brooklyn, and it was the end of my 20s, and I was dating multiple women at the time, and they kind of knew about it, but I had a show, right? So it's like, yeah, I had to put it on Facebook. I had to tell friends, and they all showed up. And it's a museum, so it's like kind of prominent, whatever. And I could tell that they started to figure out why they were there and who they were there for. So somewhere at the end of the night, I saw them huddled in the corner and trading stories, and I'm like, oh fuck. So this was the end of January, and Chinese New Year happened to be a week later. And one of my good friends, who's Haitian, she actually married a Chinese man a couple years ago. She was teaching English, so she was like, look, it's Chinese New Year, I have 3 weeks off, fly down to China, and then we'll travel around for a bit. So I went with her. It was sister, so we took we flew over here. The quickest way to get to where she was living was to go to Hong Kong and take a ferry to this small city called Zhongshan.
Okay.
And yeah, man, I had so much fun here for Chinese New Year, like buying fireworks, shooting them up in the sky. And then I had to come back to Hong Kong to do a visa run because I went to Macau, I went to Zhuhai. And I met so many people like that waiting for my passport in Lan Kwai Fong that I figured, well, the economy in New York sucks at the moment. It was 2010. I'm fucking up in my life, like doing dumb shit. Why not? Like, I have nothing to lose. So like I just basically came out here on a whim, figured like I have 3 months, 90 days on my visa, and I'll figure it out. I'll figure out my life in 90 days, If I have to like sit in a mountain to like meditate or some shit, like I'll figure it out. And like that's why I came here, like I was enchanted by like the opportunities, and it was very easy back then. So I rented an apartment with no visa, I was able to get a bank account with no visa, like nothing. For like the first 2 years I didn't have a visa either. I had to sponsor myself. I had to open up a company and then hire myself. So like, and then that was all like a process because I've lived abroad before, but it was always like student visas. Like I've lived in Tokyo, student visa. I was in Barcelona. I was in Spain for a while. Also same thing. So it's like having to sponsor yourself. That was a whole different, understanding of how like immigration law works. And it's the same thing. It's like, well, there is no blueprint for that. Like I'm Latino. I mean, there's no, there's very few of us over here. So it's like I can't call someone up and say, hey, you migrated to Hong Kong like 2 years ago. How did you do it? Like there was no blueprint. I find that it's the same thing. Like if you're growing up in DC or Baltimore, you don't know that there's like a black population in China. You would never think that. So even if you have a desire to come out here, like who do you turn to? Like you don't think that there are resources or venues available. Because when you see advertisements and everything, like you see airline advertisements. There's always like a white couple with a little baby or some shit. It's always like these colonial tropes and stuff like that. Like even the advertising for Cathay Pacific, you'll see like this tall Anglo-Saxon man like on business, advertising sales, like travel, the ticket sales and stuff like that. So it's like we're always being fed these kind of colonial tropes when it comes to travel and migration and stuff like that. Like we don't see like, oh, we don't even think that it's possible and stuff. So I think what you're kind of doing is important, to let people know like the world is your oyster, no matter, why are you dealing with shit, why are you dealing with shit back home? Like, why are you dealing with shit, like the shit that's going on in Baltimore and stuff like that? Like, no country I feel is worth dying for. You know what I'm saying? Like, in a sense, for no reason. Of course, there's things that are worth, there's principles worth dying for. But I grew up in the States, and it's like, I have friends that have died through high school. I have friends that are locked up now, and in general, it's like, why are you wasting away your life? For what purpose? When like there's so much out there for you to explore and to know. Like your life has a greater purpose than getting fucking stopped and frisked by the NYPD. Than like being followed in the fucking bodega when you go all the time. Like there's so much out there to explore, and it's like, well, we don't see that as possibilities. Like because being here 5 years has not been smooth at all. But I've been broke, I've been hungry. Like I have the same kind of war stories like Moon has, but like. At least I wasn't, at least I was trying. I was out in Asia, trying to hustle, meeting people, trying to sell my art. Like it's rewarding when it works, and when it doesn't work, fuck it. At least I'm trying. At least I'm not living in fear in a corner somewhere.
En primer lugar, yo estaba trabajando en mi país. En ese momento, digamos que la situación de trabajo era estable. Pero una amiga que llegó un año antes me habló de los convenios de beca para estudiar la maestría. Yo estaba solamente con el estudio universitario, así que le dije, bueno, ¿por qué no? No estaba casado, no tengo hijos, es una buena oportunidad. Aparte de eso, siempre me gustó viajar, ¿por qué no darle un chance? Inglés lo aprendí aquí, chino lo aprendí aquí.
¿Ah, sí?
Inglés aquí.
Yo nunca estudié. Yo llegué a China sin saber nada de ni chino ni inglés, de hecho. Sí, a mí me preguntan, ¿tu nivel de inglés? Yes. Pero cuando llegas acá, que tienes contacto con otras culturas, es como la lengua común. En lugar de ser el chino, como todos estamos en diferentes niveles de chino, algunos empezando, otros intermedios, otros un nivel alto. Entonces el inglés como para todos, pues. Todos están más o menos en ese nivel de inglés. Con un acento o con el otro siempre entienden.
¿Encontraste la gente de los países hispanohablantes?
Sí, he encontrado, pero son bastante pocos porque estamos más lejos. Pero he conocido gente de Panamá, Argentina, Cuba, de Colombia también, chileno, no recuerdo, españoles, mexicanos también. Sí, pero son muy pocos, es como los venezolanos, aquí hablamos 6, 7 venezolanos en Harvey. Hay comunidades más grandes de venezolanos, pero están al sur, esto está muy lejos.
Bueno, es difícil, ¿no? Nunca, es que hay gente con la que todavía, o sea, vale, yo estaba acostumbrada a estar con latinos y tal, pero ahora encontrarme con gente rusa, mucha gente de Asia, ha sido un poco difícil para mí, ¿no? Porque yo opino que esta gente es un poco racista y tal. Entonces, bueno, aunque sí ha estado bien, pero en la universidad con los chinos sinceramente no tengo mucho contacto, porque los chinos más jóvenes de nuestras edades son gente que son más juiciosos, ¿no? Están en lo suyo. Pero bueno, está bien, es una forma de ver, conocer a gente. He conocido a mucha gente, bastante gente hasta países que no conocía antes, sinceramente. Porque también estoy haciendo el course de language, o sea que no es tan serious, like you have to learn, ¿no? Son 4 horas, son desde las 8:30 hasta las 12.
Solo chino.
Sí, solo chino, pero tenemos, por ejemplo, gramática, tingli, que se dice, o sea, vale escuchar y tal, muchas cosas dependiendo. Son 3 clases diferentes, o sea, para hablar, para gramática y para escuchar.
¿Y puedes escribir ahora?
Un poquito. Sinceramente creo que no estoy aprovechando mucho el tiempo porque hay mucha gente que hablamos inglés o español, entonces y como los chinos de nuestra universidad están en lo suyo porque no son tan abiertos todavía, yo pienso que hablo más inglés o español. Solo uso el chino cuando compro o ahora si estoy aquí tengo que ir ahí a comprar algo, es cuando voy a usar el chino, pero ahora de lo que me he dado cuenta que entiendo mucho más que hablo, o sea que creo que voy bien, sinceramente. Sí, eso también me ha pasado especialmente en el segundo trimestre tuve una profesora que me parecía un poco racista, ¿no? Porque nunca me preguntaba, o sea, porque yo veo que la gente siempre me pregunta, ¿y tú por qué hablas español? Sí. Aparte que mucha gente tampoco sabe que Guinea Ecuatorial, hasta africanos, habla español. Entonces, claro, nos escuchaban, pero estaban ahí en plan. Pero bueno, hasta hay españoles que realmente tampoco saben que mi país es el único país que habla español. Pero bueno, poco a poco. Por los extranjeros, sí, han ido viendo y les interesa. Por los chinos dicen que, porque hay dos personas hablamos español, siendo que yo soy, si yo digo que soy de España, dicen, ¿cómo que tú eres de España? Y eres negra y eres blanca y sí, es de España. Tengo dos, no, porque en mi país, como no les cayó muy bien España, porque opinan que no nos ayudan, a todos fueron los que nos colonizaron, pero se fueron así, ya saben, los españoles con rasgos. Entonces, claro, pues no les. Entonces, claro, si tienes el pasaporte español y estás en mi país, después te lo ponen todo más difícil ahí. Entonces, tengo dos en mi país, uso en España. No, el de mi país, porque con la beca que vine es desde mi país. O sea, eso es por una parte mal, porque claro, si fuese con el español todo más fácil, no, porque aquí depende de dónde vengas, es más fácil. Yo creo que para ti en todo sentido ha sido más fácil, ¿no? Con el pasaporte americano.
I never said no.
Oh, never? Okay, my bad.
I never. And that's just...
Perdóname.
Because I think, just personally, I don't, what that country represents, I'm not for it. You know what I'm saying? So like, I never identify as that. On the mainland, I always say Cuba because I assume people know Cuba because of the whole communist connection.
Okay.
So like, it was like, oh, cigars, Castro, like people identify with it, mojitos, and stuff like that. So I always go with that identity. And well, you talk about the plurality, like, you know, I definitely miss it. I definitely miss how like integrated communities were in New York. I think I do feel like I love Beijing. I love Shanghai, Guangzhou to a certain extent. Being here in Hong Kong, socially, it kills my spirit in a sense. Like it doesn't. I think the way things are done here is very superficial, especially when it comes to business. Like it's all about status. So it's all about it's all about who you know anywhere in the world, right? But like in DC, like it works differently. Like it's like, you know, if you're in a certain industry, like you kind of like know everybody. Everybody's kind of familiar with you. You know, some people might be assholes, but like people like. It's easier just to introduce yourself, like, hey, I'm so and so, like, oh, you do the same thing, cool. Like we don't have to be best friends, but like, yo, acknowledge my presence. Like here's like, if someone has introduced you, like you'll be staring at somebody like just wanting to see where they're from, cold shoulder, like they will turn their back to you, and it's like, it's so cold, it's so inhumane. It's like we're social beings, and to me, like Hong Kong kind of is like it works the opposite of how like our nature is and stuff like that. So it's like I think the lack of like plurality here, plus the fact that people will kind of change, you know, when they become expats, they kind of like learn how to play the game here and they change. Like it really just killed my spirit. I think I don't spend more than, I would say, 3 or 4 consecutive weeks in Hong Kong before like I travel to the mainland or I go to Japan for business. Like I'm always seeking opportunities for business other places, just because I can't stay here too long, because just it just really bothers me. It's hard to unwind and relax here in Hong Kong. It really is. I think artists generally use color a certain way. So, for example, like the Stern character, another gentleman you interviewed, his character is readily identifiable. Like if I would see a building that he painted, I would know that's his style. Like it's a signature way he does things. I think for me, it's kind of like there's something common that goes throughout every single different painting, whether it's a woodcut piece or neon. Like it's like a handwriting. It's like you're always going to be able to like recognize your handwriting, even if it evolves a little bit over the years. Like there's something consistent. So it's like just the way I move my hand, the way I mix colors, the way I perceive colors and shapes. Like I think that's consistent no matter what the medium is. But a lot of my work is deals with politics and political and social kind of interactions. Like the piece behind me, this was for a show in Shanghai. It was actually documenting the Chinese presence in Cuba. So like that was interesting because I had to do a bunch of research and actually like interview a bunch of people about, you know, like being like Cuban Chinese and stuff like that. And also introducing people in China to the fact that like there is, like you guys are familiar with the diaspora in the UK, in New York City, in San Fran. Do you know there's also like Peru in Latin America? Like there is a like Chinatown in Havana. You know, there's like one of the most famous artists, like Wilfredo Lam. He's like half Chinese and half Cuban and stuff like that. He's like a world famous artist. And it was almost like also just educating people to like their own kind of culture, their own history, and like not just the Chinese white mixture, but also like it goes beyond that. You know, like that goes into a whole bunch of social issues and stuff like that.
Tú hablas como un mudo, un sordo mudo, básicamente señalas y dices. Cuando comienzas hablas como Tarzán. Me want coffee. Toma cierto tiempo hasta que te adaptas a conversar. De hecho, yo aprendí inglés viendo películas, en series. ¿Sí? Yo me gusta la música que escuchaba y más que todo era en inglés y la memoria juega conmigo. No, series en general, películas clásicas, desde Casablanca hacia abajo. Okay. Casablanca, El Padrino. A mí me gusta el cine. ¿Ah?
Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood. No me ha caído en las manos, lo hará. No te preocupes, la descargo pronto. Soul Plane. Stand-up comedy, Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock.
Eddie Murphy.
One of the best.
Y bueno, eso puede que son nuevas experiencias. Sé que al cabo de unos años, cuando ya crezca, diré, echaré de menos China, porque también me pasó cuando estaba en Ghana. En Ghana quería salir siempre, estaba en plan, cuando termino, pero ahora echo de menos algunas de las cosas que hacía. Entonces China, yo creo que todas esas experiencias que tengo en mi vida, que a veces pienso que son castigos, me hacen crecer como persona, porque yo, por ejemplo, hasta los 16 años no era madura, pero ahora sé cómo cuidar de mí misma y tal. Son cosas muy importantes para la vida, ¿no? Y tengo nuevos pensamientos, porque la gente de mi país es muy cerrada también, no sí los negros. Entonces, claro, me enseña a ver las cosas de diferentes formas y tal. Aunque he de decir que desde que estoy en China me he vuelto más racista porque ellos son más racistas. Actually, I think it's not racist. It's still like ignorant or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Why? For example, yesterday I was in the mall and then they were like, I think my advice is like, it's never too late to experience and learn for other people, no? To learn new experience or new things. So it's never late. You should go and try it. You have to be ready for everything. You know, you cannot just stand in a place and say, no, I cannot do this because it's China or Egypt or every place. You always have to be strong and go ahead.
I grew up in the 80s and 90s in New York City, so like I grew up in Spanish Harlem. So in terms of like what was really valued back then was like what kind of girl you had, what clothes you wore, and that was pretty much it. Like it was just like, or like if you weren't in school, it's like, well, then what block or what gang were you affiliated with? Like that's what social capital meant back then, especially like in the 90s. It was all about like who had Tommy, Polo, Nordica. Like it was really about that meant everything. It was only later that I realized like a lot of these things are worthless, especially coming here in China where you realize like Polo's made across the border. You know what I'm saying? Like their main factory is in Guangdong, and it's just like I have some heads up on like what some of the material costs are, and I'm just like, really? Like you start to value different things as you travel and see things, and it's like if you don't spend your money on 2 pairs of Jordans or something like that, that's a ticket to London. In the off season, you could get a ticket to London for about $450 round trip on a really, really good like off season ticket. Spend $450 on like shoes or a jacket, whatever, right? Or going out with your friends and eating dinner for a month. Like, so it's all about like the resources are there. It's just like what you value. And one thing about travel is like it stays with you a lifetime. Whereas like the sneakers that you buy only last one season. Once you scuff them up, they're done. They have no value. It has no intrinsic value. My best advice would be like you owe it to yourself to see this world. And if you think about it like in the real abstract, a lot of us either came as migrants, our families came as migrants, or a lot of us even came like against our will and chained. So it's like the country that you may have been born in that you call your own historically has not been your country, and it's also a country that was stolen as well. So like there's a lot of energy in that land that it doesn't fit right because it's never been healed. You know what I'm saying? So like you're dying and you're fighting for a piece of land or a block or a corner that's not yours. You know, and it's like move beyond that. You know, like we're all human beings. So even if you go to Poland or something, you don't speak Polish. Like if you're lost, somebody's gonna realize like that person's lost and help you out, you know? And English is kind of really like a universal language. So it's like all the fears you may have of the unknown, overcome them, you know? Find somebody who has overcome them. If you have a mentor, that's great. If you're in school, ask one of your teachers. If you're in the hood and you're dating somebody who has a different mindset, like you and her go out, together, or vice versa. Like find somebody who's always aspiring for more. And for me personally, one of the best ways to get more and achieve more is to put yourself in situations that you're uncomfortable, that you're unfamiliar with. Like I just landed a couple hours ago, and like I may live here, but I'm always wondering like, well, what am I gonna go deal with next in Hong Kong? Or like, what situations, what opportunities, what misfortunes am I gonna deal with? Like, it's always a fear. Anytime I travel, there's always a blessing of what awaits me on the other side. No matter what, good or bad. Even if I don't like a place, if I go to a new country, at least I can say, oh, I don't like this country. I don't like it for this reason. I don't like this city for this reason. Maybe I'll try a different city within that country. Like, I don't like Milan, but I love Rome. So it's like, all right. And I love Florence more than all of them. So it's like, fuck it. Like if I go to Italy again, I'll go to Florence. Or if I go to Milan, I'll skip Milan. I'll go to Cinque Terre, like where it's called the Five Lands, which is like beautiful rugged coastline. And it's like, there's always, you'll never be an alien in this world because we're all human, so always keep that in mind. Don't be a prisoner to your mindset. Don't be a prisoner to your block. Don't be a prisoner to what people tell you who you are, what people tell you your value is. You know, that prison to school pipeline shit. Like, go beyond that, you know? Always trust your abilities to survive in this world. If you have a talent that you can transport, like if you do music, you rap, everywhere in the world, people listen to hip hop. You're valuable. You're more valuable than you think you know. So just be fearless. That'll be my biggest advice. Be fearless, man. Be fearless.
I found that in China you create your own, your people become like your family, like your friends become like your best friends because
a famous singer, Rubén Blades, he said the friends, true friends, are the family we choose among strangers. They don't have this blood. They are family. And some of my friends, they are my family.
Yeah.
Really, in my country, your friends, your son will call them uncle or aunt.
Yeah.
In my country, it's like that. If you have your friends, Aunt Mary, Uncle John. This cultural change, the situation in this generation, the young people are more open to this
Yes.
change in the behavior, these things that most of the Roman adults will consider strange,
Yes.
totally strange. But this rare for previous generation is normal for the next one. It's not
Yes.
totally normal. They are open to this new culture because they are watching movies, they are watching series, they are reading in internet, they have Facebook,
Yeah.
and that is cool.
Yeah, and that is true. That is true. They are becoming more open. It is.
They are become more open recently. I saw that in these 3 years,
Really?
how it changed.
How things are changing.
They changed their minds. With all the bad looks, bad eyes you receive sometimes because they just look at you like you are not from here, you don't belong to this place. There's a lot of kindness here. There's a lot of things to make you feel welcome.
Yeah.
Here in China, and I like that.
But it's been so nice just to meet people, like, because we didn't expect to interview at all. Like, obviously, we had a lineup for Harvey.
I didn't expect to meet you at all. If you don't say hi in the club.
Do you remember the other day? I was like, you were like this.
No. It was really funny because she said, and I was like,
Like, who could you tell me? And I was
yeah, with you.
And I just ran inside.
Hey.